What's going on, you guys? My name is Don't Panic 494, and today we've got another round of Gunmaster in Battlefield 3. This round has the reverse weapon rotation, so it's essentially the default one. It's just in reverse, with the exception of the knife and the grenade launcher. Those are still last. So this one starts out with the bolt-action sniper, goes through sniper rifles, and all the way in reverse until it gets to the pistols. So that's the loadout we're playing with here, but the main topic of the video is going to be strategy, and specifically strategy when you're not playing that well, and you really have to grind it out to get a win. But before we really get going on that, I wanted to just make a couple of points. First of all, mostly a disclaimer, this is not a pretty round. I am not playing that well, there are a lot of deaths in here, and in order to illustrate my point better, I didn't cut any of the deaths out. So usually when I post a Gunmaster video, I don't die that much to begin with, and I cut almost all the deaths out so you guys don't have to see that. But for this gameplay, I thought it was really important to leave them all in because there's a certain state of mind that goes with playing Gunmaster. It's a race against the clock, it's a race against everybody else. You know, every time you die, you're giving somebody else a weapon advance, or at least progress towards a weapon advance. So it's a totally different mindset. Obviously, when you die in any game mode, it's important, and you know you shouldn't be doing it because you're not helping the team. But in Gunmaster, it just carries a different emotion with it when you die. So I think seeing all of my deaths, and there are a lot of them, seeing them all accumulate over time, it gives you that sense of like, oh wow, like you really have to be determined, and you really have to stay calm to pull off a win. Because if you let the rage take over that's building up, it's not going to go well. You're going to get super pissed, and it's just going to go downhill, spiraling out of control until you lose the game inevitably. The second thing I wanted to touch on really quick before we started to talk about strategy is this specific weapon rotation. Since I'm doing some of these as Gunmaster tutorials, and I haven't done one on this particular rotation yet, so I feel like I do need to take a minute to talk about that. So it's the default rotation in reverse, so it's the exact same guns, flipped in reverse, minus the knife and the grenade launcher, the LVG, which come last. Now, there's not much to be said about it because it plays very similarly to just the stock loadout. And what I mean by that is, I'd say roughly the same percentage of people are going to be good at the pistols and the sniper rifles, and it's a lower percentage, than the average player. The average player is going to struggle with those guns, but I think the average player is going to struggle equally with both ends of that spectrum. So even though you flipped the order of guns, it plays very similarly. It's kind of like a bell curve. So the sniper rifles are at the bottom end, where there's only a small percentage of people that really thrive with them. The pistols the exact same way. And it goes up and up and up until you get to, the highest percentage of, how easy the guns are to use, how many people are good with them, when you get to the assault rifles and the SMGs that are in the middle, or the carbines, or whatever you guys want to call them. Those are in the middle of both loadouts, so they really do play similarly. So you don't really need to change your game style that much. You're going to run into similar style situations where, like in this particular one, you're going to get to the pistols. You're going to have a pistol that's a really weak, it doesn't hit very hard. They're kind of tricky to use, especially at range. And you're going to be going against people with assault rifles and stuff. It's the exact opposite as regular when, you're going to push your way all the way to the bolt actions, and you're going to start running into people in close quarters that are running with the MTAR. So you're going to struggle equally, I think, with both loadouts, so they really do play very, very similarly. And I'm going to reiterate the same point that I've made in a few of my other videos. It's kind of a universal strategy for all of the loadouts, is you need to play to your strength. So play to the strength of you as a player, and also to, what your surroundings are and what other people have at their disposal. So in the default rotation, where the assault rifles and the carbines come in the middle, when you get to those guns, you're going to want to make every second count. You're going to want to rack up those kills as quickly as possible, because everybody on either side of you has weaker weapons than you. So there are obviously other people that are going to be running with the same gun as you, but, chances are most of the players are going to have something that's not as good as what's in your hands. So be more aggressive, push harder, jump into situations you wouldn't normally jump into. And when you're on the low sides of this bell curve with the sniper rifles or the pistols, you're going to want to do the opposite. You want to hang back a little bit, play a little bit more conservatively, and don't take as many crazy chances as you would if you had, the MTAR in your hands, or the M16A3 in your hands, or the AUG, or something like that. But like Mike Tyson said so eloquently, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So having these strategies in place, having these philosophies, that's all well and good, but Say you run into a game and you are playing terribly and you've got a situation where you're not advancing as fast as you should be, you're getting stuck on weapons, people are passing you, nothing is going according to plan. You know, you get to the MTAR, you get to your strong guns, and you can't string a kill together. You die 3 times in a row. Or like right here, you get in an advantageous situation, you get 5 assists instead of getting a single kill. Any number of bad things can happen that are going to throw you off of your original plan. This is when you have to take a step back and realize that you're the cause of these bad things that are happening to you. You're the reason you're dying, 30 times in a game of Gunmaster. You're the reason that you're getting shot in the back because you're not clearing corners. Nobody is doing this to you. This is your own fault, and you've got to take a second, chill out, don't panic, stop thinking about every little thing that you have to do, stop looking at the scoreboard doesn't matter. You need to get back to the absolute most fundamental basics of the game in general. Shoot people in the face and don't die. And because this is Gunmaster, add one more thing to it. Do that as quickly as possible. So if you can put those together, keep in the back of your head, you're going to be rushing around the map and you're going to continue dying. But the point that I want to make is that that's okay as long as you're doing it and you're getting something out of it. If you can scrape 1 kill away from each death, you're going to come out decently in the game. You may not win every game, but you're going to do better if, you're playing terribly and you're still trying to be technical when you're playing the game. No, it doesn't work like that. If you're off your game, you have to be, as basic and simple as possible. If you run into a room and there are 3 enemies there, all of them looking at you, if you're trying to get technical and you're trying to think, oh, how do I take these 3 out, get away from the situation alive? Is there any cover? Is there any this? Throw that out the window. Pick one of them that's going to be easiest to shoot in the face and shoot them in the face because you'll probably take at least one of them out with you. Just don't spray randomly across the room. Don't try to get away. Don't try to duck behind cover. This is Gunmaster. There is no cover. There could be someone right behind you. Pick a target, aim at that target and shoot, even though you know you're going to be going down with the ship. It's called Discipline of Fire. I guess this is kind of a different situation than Discipline of Fire is usually used, but it's still Discipline of Fire. Focus up, pick a target, and drop them. And if you're playing poorly and you're dying a lot, you're still going to be able to grind it out and get some kills. You're going to get some advances. Like I said, you may not win all the time, but you can still come out on top. I picked this particular example because this is a round where no one around me was playing very well. And that's the type of thing that you're not going to notice if you keep dying and dying and dying. You're just going to get mad. You're just going to get frustrated. It's not going to matter. In your head, everyone is going to be a mile ahead of you. But that's not the case. I picked this one specifically because no one was playing well, and I was able to just keep grinding, stick to my absolute basics, take, 1 kill every time I have a life, and that's it, and then I die. And take that and still win the game. Like I said, I'll say it a million times, it's not always going to work out like that, so don't get pissed at me if you're like, oh, Jay, I did it, I grinded, and it came in 20th place. That's going to happen sometimes too if you've got a team full of pros, or 20th place is probably not going to happen. If you do this and you can grind it out and you can keep moving along slowly, even if you keep dying all the time, you're not going to come in last place. You won't come in first place if there are a couple all-stars in your team, but you're not going to come in last place. At the end of the day, you just have to keep in mind that it's all mental. This isn't real war. It's not like your soldier has a sprained ankle and he's like, oh, that's why I'm dying more. My guy's got a sprained ankle. He's not running as fast. No, it's not like that. Unless your frag hand that holds your mouse is broken and you can't physically move it well, it's all mental. So the power lies with you internally to figure out a way to stop getting pissed, keep resisting those urges to falcon punch your computer monitor every time you die, cool off, relax, understand that your normal everyday strategies that I may have taught you are not going to work here, and you need to just grind. These are going to be the rounds where nothing is handed to you. You're not going to get that lucky corner turn with 4 enemies not paying attention. You get quick quad kill and advance 2 weapons. That's not going to happen all the time. You're not going to get that situation where your teammate's going to bail you out from getting shot in the back because you didn't clear your corner. That's not going to happen all the time. You're not always going to get the last bullet on someone. Much like in this game, you're going to rack up a lot of kill assists that are going to set you behind a little bit where you would otherwise be advancing quickly. things are never going to line up all the time. Like, it can't happen. There are always going to be these games where the only thing going right is your ability to stay in the game mentally and grind it all out, as if it's just you against the world with no teammates. Always assume that there are enemies looking at you, aiming at you, and ready to shoot, and just make sure that every time you enter a room, you're noticing if there are any enemies there at all, and you're picking one that you can engage immediately. Because even if you get shot in the back, you're going to want to take that one person down with you so you get a little bit closer to the finish line. As long as you're creeping towards that finish line, you're doing better than you otherwise would. Because if you're not playing well and you're sticking to these, like, really technical strategies, trying to make optimal use of every weapon you're using and everything, you're not going to get anywhere. Stick to the very, very basics. Always try to have a target picked out if you enter a room, just in case you do start to get shot at. Try not to put your controller through your wall or smash your keyboard, whatever you may be playing on, and you're going to come out on top. You may not win every game, but I guarantee you're going to do better than you would have done if you stuck to your more technical strategies, even though you're not playing well. Now that this video is coming to a close as I stab this completely oblivious Russian in the chest with my box cutter, I want to thank you guys very much for watching the video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Hopefully I save a computer monitor or maybe a plaster job on a wall via this video. I guess time will tell. As always, I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day and spending them with me. And I will see all of you next time. Take care, everybody.